Hi there guys, and welcome to the latest episode of the Cryptoverse. The Cryptoverse is your regular dose of news and commentary on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and blockchains. My name is Chris Coney, I am the host of the Cryptoverse and the founder of cryptoversity.com, which is the online school where you set the price to learn about Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and blockchains. You can find out more at cryptoversity.com. And when you go to the podcast page, you can subscribe to the Cryptoverse on any one of your favorite channels, whether that be the iTunes Store, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, or Steemit. And to support the Cryptoverse and see it continue, please click through to Steemit and vote for this episode on the Steem network. Alternatively, if you'd like to tip us some Bitcoin, you can do so by using the Bitcoin address that's on screen now, or by going to the podcast page and scrolling to the bottom. Righto then, let's have a look at the markets this morning. It's a Monday morning today, so it's just the first day after the weekend. And in the top 5, we only have one coin gaining value, and that would be Ethereum Core. So let's take a look at the two Ethereums first. We have Ethereum Core up by 1.5%, and Ethereum Classic down 0.7%. So they're still rocking, those two. Bitcoin, Ripple, and Litecoin have lost, less than 1%. Litecoin hasn't moved much at all, really. And then we have Steem in 5th position in overall market cap, has shaved 3.66% in the last 24 hours, making a Steem token worth $1.38. And then we have Dash in 7th position. A Dash token is now worth $13.88, having gained 4.6% in value, putting the Dash blockchain at nearly, $92.7 million, which is interesting, isn't it? I think that's the highest that it's ever been. It keeps gaining new highs. Well, actually, I'm talking about, let's see here. There's this thing, like when a coin first launches, it gets a massive market cap, and then it takes a long time to get back there. However, on this occasion, I'm looking way back at all the data, and I'm trying to figure out, what's this? The 23rd of May. What year would that have been, though? It doesn't actually say what year it is, but that was where the overall market cap was 58 million. That doesn't make any sense, because that high seems higher than the recent one on the graph. It looks to be higher. It looks to be further up the graph. In fact, it's actually above a horizontal line that says 100 million. So I don't think this graph is reporting correctly. Maybe it's because I've got my screen zoomed in. Let me see if it corrects if I zoom out. No, it doesn't. I only zoomed in so that it on the YouTube version of the podcast you can see it properly. But in any case, I'm going to say it's on par with the highest market cap it's ever had. Recently it was a bit higher, it was 95 million, but that's still in the last few days. That's very interesting. Let me go back to the main page there. See who else we've got going on here. We have MadeSafe with a 9% gain, which is big for a top 10 coin. The MadeSafe blockchain is now worth $49 million. And we have Monero playing kind of leapfrog with Lisk. So Monero has now taken 10th position as overall market cap, having gained 22% of its value. So Lisk and Monero keep exchanging 10th and 11th position over the last few days. So that makes the Monero token worth $2.99. Now with a 22% gain, we wonder, what could they have announced? I have not heard anything in particular, so I'm assuming it's something to do with the news, but it might not necessarily be that. It might just be someone new who discovered it and then invested a whole bunch of money. Right, let's see if any of the big movers today. Let's see. NXT had some good gains last week and has shaved 6.4% today, which is quite significant. And then let's just look at the rest of the top 20. PeerPlays has gained 3.7%. BitShares has gained 3%. And then the 20th most capitalized coin is Stellar. Who's slipped out of the top 20? Where's Scenario? I'm going to have to search for that. It seems to have vanished. Scenario. Oh, yes, it has vanished. How interesting. SYN. Nope. Scenario has left the building. I wonder why. How very strange. That's very strange. Okay. Well, I'm sure it'll be back. I'm sure there's some technical glitch there, but that's very strange, isn't it? All right, let's go over to the Bitcoin price chart. Check out what's going on here. Very small candle still. Same old story. We're in this range between $600 and $540. And it's actually slightly tighter than that now. Since, what date's this? Since the 4th of August, the low has actually been about $550. And very little gains or losses. It's pretty calm over the last, well, I'd say 2 weeks. Since that big drop of the Bitfinex drop. It's pretty stable after that. So that's cool. That's all good. If it's stable, then, you know, the Bitcoin-based businesses can just carry on doing business and gaining adoption, and that's all good, you know. All right, that's all for the first half of the Cryptoverse. Stay tuned for the second half, where a whole lot more is coming your way. Hi there, welcome back to the Cryptoverse. My name's Chris Coney. Now time to turn to the news, courtesy of Bitcoin.com. And we have Justin O'Connell as the author of today's article. This article was published yesterday, August the 21st, 2016, and the title reads, "The Federal Reserve Gets on Facebook and is Greeted by Angry Bitcoiners." I did actually see some people online recruiting for this drive, and the article title shows the Federal Reserve building with a big Facebook logo on top of it. So let's see what happened here. I didn't actually participate in this. I am actually hearing about this, the results of this for the first time. I did hear about the invitations, but I didn't respond to them. So the Federal Reserve, the quasi-private government body of the US monetary system, launched a Facebook page on Thursday in its bid to become more transparent and open with the US citizenry. Right, first comment. If that's their intent, that's to be applauded. Anything that they do, well, that they say is has the intention of becoming more transparent with the citizens, surely that's a good thing. And I haven't read this article yet, but I'm gonna guess that what people didn't see, the people who are going to complain about the Federal Reserve on Facebook, they're going to be the ones that don't like the Federal Reserve because it's not transparent, right? So why punish them for making a step towards transparency? Because that's punishing behavior that you want, surely. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm always looking at that as objectively as possible. Am I a fan of the Federal Reserve? Not really, no. Why not? Well, because they're not transparent. So if they decide to begin to move towards transparency, why would I slap them in the face? Because that's going to discourage them from continuing in that direction. So let's see if this is what's happened. Because people just don't think. Anyway, so the Federal Reserve gets on Facebook. As intended, unlike the social media spaces of its public counterparts, the page so far serves as an informational service. The central bank writes in its press release, quote, "The Federal Reserve Board launched a Facebook page on Thursday with the aim of increasing the accessibility and availability of Federal Reserve Board news and educational content. Posts will include press releases, speeches, testimony, reports, educational materials, frequently asked questions, photos, and videos. With the launch of its Facebook page, the board now shares information on 5 platforms, including Twitter, YouTube, Flickr, and LinkedIn. The board's website, www.federalreserve.gov, will remain its primary channel of communication. Selected announcements will be shared on Facebook after they are first posted on the website. For media inquiries, call 202-452-2955. Close quote. Now, I have one slight issue with that. Their domain name is www.federalreserve.gov. The Federal Reserve is not a government organization. It's a private bank that has the exclusive legal right to produce currency in the United States. The reason why, I think his name was Klaus von Nothaus, the reason why Klaus got pinched for the Liberty Dollar business that he was running, they got him for counterfeiting. He printed the Liberty Dollar that represented 100% backed by gold in his warehouses that the people had legal ownership of, right? And they pinched him on the basis that he was counterfeiting. Because the Federal Reserve is the only private bank that is allowed legally to produce currency. And the US dollar is not a US dollar. It's what they call a Federal Reserve note. If you look at the US dollar, it actually is a note from a private bank called the Federal Reserve. So it's not a US government currency. It's a currency of a private company in the United States called the Federal Reserve. So that's a very important distinction. So what I was taking issue with there is that the Federal Reserve have a .gov domain name when they are not a government organization. So I'm just saying. So among the first posts by the Federal Reserve is an overview of how the system works. Well, that's absolutely fantastic. So at level 1, you have the Federal Reserve System. And then level below that, you have 3 key entities: the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, 12 Federal Reserve banks, which are in various states around the United States. And then, so you call those the branch offices. And then you have Federal Open Market Committee. Okay. Open Market Committee. So they do have at least paying lip service to the fact that they want an open market. And then the third layer below that, they say they have 5 key functions: conducting the nation's monetary policy, helping maintain the stability of the financial system, supervising and regulating financial institutions, fostering payment and settlement system safety and efficiency, and promoting consumer protection and community development. Okay, so they've got 5 what I'd call values. That's pretty good. In another post, the nation's central bank outlines its mission. Quote, to promote the stability of the financial system and seeks to minimize and contain systemic risks through active monitoring and engagement in the US and abroad. Okay, close quote. Right, so, okay, that's their intention. I would strongly argue that that is not how they behave. So they are incongruent, in my opinion. The central bank even explains how its board of governors works. Quote, the board is run by 7 members or governors who are nominated by the President of the United States and confirmed in their positions by the US Senate. Close quote. That's what the central bank states. Open quote. The Board of Governors guides the operation of the Federal Reserve System to promote the goals and fulfill the responsibilities given to the Federal Reserve by the Federal Reserve Act. Close quote. So the Fed criticism swarm, this is the bit where I think we're going to find out about the abuse on Facebook. So many rabble-rousers took to the digital space to proclaim that the free market does all the things the Fed tries unsuccessfully to do. Many people claim that instead of promoting stability, the Federal Reserve creates instability. Well, yes, I would agree with that. Some even thanked the Fed for their support thanked the Fed for their supposed failures, crediting them for the creation of Bitcoin and evoking how the bank's actions sent Bitcoin prices to the moon. Yes, well, you can verify that by going back to the original Bitcoin white paper. And I beg your pardon. No, that's not true. I don't think it's in the white paper itself. I believe that Satoshi Nakamoto allegedly got frustrated after the collapse of some of financial institutions in 2008. And that was the inspiration behind the paper. But I don't believe that that is actually in the paper itself. The Federal Reserve became the subject of national disapproval in the wake of 2007 to the 2008 financial crisis, when it worked with the US federal government to bail out Wall Street banks. While many people applaud the Fed for an apparent track record of stability, others criticize the situation for its secrecy and perceived ineffectiveness. In fact, a large section of the Bitcoin community envision a future where the cryptocurrency renders central banking obsolete, ushering in a political and economic revolution. At any rate, the Fed is in for a wild social media ride, with its new Facebook page exposing the bank to a whole new world of skeptics and Bitcoin fanatics. What do you think about the Fed's new Facebook page? Let us know in the comments below. Well, they didn't tell us much about the actual the rabble rousers who went onto Facebook. Well, let me think about this. Even if, let's just play, pretend for a second. Let's pretend the Federal Reserve are completely legitimate. They have good intentions. They are doing their very best. And let's say that they just don't fully appreciate how their decisions come across to the masses. So it could be, and I'm just going down one avenue of thought here. It could be that we, the people, just don't quite understand what it is the Federal Reserve is doing, and we might misinterpret that to be ineffective or this or that or the other, when it might be because we are not banking experts and they are, perhaps. So what this Facebook page will do for them is make it clear that at the very least, they can't deny that their brand, the perception of the Federal Reserve, isn't great, especially among the crypto peeps. So that's me being very kind, to be honest. I am not a big fan of the Federal Reserve. I'm not a big fan of the centralized creation of currency that everyone is forced to use. So there's no competition, right? It's Amanda B. Johnson, when she was doing the daily decrypt, right? She was always saying, "Welcome to currency competition," because if the law says you're only allowed to use the US dollar as defined by the Federal Reserve note, that's not free market economics. What if that's not a very good currency? What if it isn't fit for purpose? What if it doesn't serve the people in the way it's supposed to? What if it doesn't even serve the country in the way it's supposed to? What if it doesn't serve the Federal Reserve in the way it's supposed to? The presupposition that the board of directors of the Federal Reserve can somehow have perfect information about the economy and then come up with a solution or a monetary policy that will work everywhere is nonsensical. And that's the reason why free market competition is the most effective model, because then you have thousands, millions of minds looking at the situation from millions of different points of view. And from that, you've got then a million data points. You've got a million sources of data. And someone might come up with, assuming everyone's got an equal voice, in that scenario where everyone has an equal voice, someone from left field who comes up with what initially might seem like a wacky idea might actually be the best idea that anyone's ever come up with. But if we have this hierarchical system where we presuppose that the governors of the Federal Reserve are, quote, smarter than everybody else, well, they might be smarter, but they don't have access to more information than everybody else. In the world, there are 7 billion eyeballs, brains, and 7 billion points of view, all of which have something to contribute by the very fact that they have a unique point of view. So that's extra data that you can only get from that person. This is how I see the world. Every individual, their unique value is their point of view, because no one else has that point of view. And that point of view will be valuable in certain contexts, right? Even someone has nothing to do with the banking system. There's a book I read way back, Blue Ocean Strategy, with these wildly successful business stories like Cirque du Soleil or whatever, groundbreaking businesses that just took off. And in a lot of these blue ocean businesses where there's these massive innovations, the innovations hardly ever come from within the industry itself, right? Because there's an existing way of thinking in that industry. There's an existing paradigm that limits the ways of thinking. So that's to have a radical idea that completely turns the industry on its head would mean you letting go of, say, a lifetime's worth of study. That's the problem with the scientific community, is if you've spent your whole life believing in a particular scientific model, and then some groundbreaking research comes to light that actually fundamentally disproves that, it's going to be very difficult for you to accept. And And that's often why these things people try and silence these things, because individuals have a certain sense of ownership in what they've already built up, right? But it doesn't mean it's true just because you believe it. It doesn't mean it's objectively true. Which is why we need all those points of view, because if you put them all together, you can then test things and see what works better. And until we have like a massive financial collapse, and it can be clearly attributed to the monetary policy of the Federal Reserve, until that happens, we can still debate whether what they're doing is going to be good or bad. Unfortunately, I would prefer to resolve it before the next crash myself, but how do you do that when it's difficult to prove until it goes off the cliff? Let me know in the comments. All right, that's going to do it for today's edition of the Cryptoverse with me, Chris Coney. I'd like to thank you for listening today. Please go to cryptoversity.com/podcast, subscribe to the Cryptoverse on your favorite platform, and support the Cryptoverse by going through to Steam it, voting for this episode, or tipping us some Bitcoin directly using the Bitcoin addresses on screen now or at the bottom of the page if you're listening to this. Remember to check out the main site, cryptoversity.com, which is the online school where you set the price to learn about Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and blockchains. All right, guys, I will see you in tomorrow's episode. Until then, it's me, Chris Coney, saying bye for now.